Hello everybody, Kirk here, sounding a little bit foggier than usual as I am fighting off a cold or one of the many viruses that's going around. Not COVID, but something else. It hasn't been super fun, but that's okay because we're taking this week off from making new episodes of Triple Click. However, we are still putting something in the main feed for all of you, and you are all in for a treat because if you're not a Maximum Fun member for whatever reason and you haven't been able to listen to the bonus episodes that we put out every month, then you haven't heard this conversation that we had earlier in the year about what else but Elden Ring. This was our May Beanscast, and we call them Beanscast because they contain spoilers, aka we spill the beans on the story. And the story for that, since we don't always go over the origin story for Beanscast, is that my nieces would talk about spilling the beans on a story, which was their way of saying spoiling the story. So these are Beanscasts where we spoil the story, and we usually do games that we've covered in the main feed, but we can go a little bit more in depth, and that's what we did on Elden Ring. That was from May of this year, but like I said, we do a bonus episode for every month that we've existed, which is several years now. We're on our 32nd bonus episode right now. And actually, if you've already heard this because you're a member, first of all, thank you. And second of all, there's a new bonus episode for you in the bonus feed right now about Star Wars Andor. And that was a really fun conversation and a fun bonus episode to put together. So if you've already heard this Elden Ring chat, well, you can just go and listen to the Andor chat. But just to give you a sense of what you are missing, if you're not yet a member and are maybe considering it, just from this year, we have done bonus episodes about the entire Matrix trilogy, plus the new Matrix movie that came out last winter. We did Yellow Jackets Season 1, a really fun TV show that we all loved. We did a Beanscast on Die Hard, which Jason had never seen, so Maddie and I got him to watch that for the first time. We did Horizon Forbidden West, followed by Elden Ring, the episode you're about to hear. Of course, we did a full Beanscast on Suikoden 2, the game that Jason made both me and Maddie play. That was a lot of fun. We then did the MCU, a check-in on the Marvel Cinematic Universe for 2022, talking about some of the new movies and shows that are out. We did an episode on Better Call Saul. This was a very fun bonus to record about another show that we all loved. We did an episode that was really cool about the games that formed us, the games that informed our childhood and kind of helped form who we are as lowercase g gamers. We did one on the 1993 Mario movie, which was also a lot of fun and actually features Fiona Shaw, an actress who turns up really wonderfully in Andor. So we've talked about a lot of Fiona Shaw in the bonus feed this year. Then most recently we did God of War Ragnarok last month, also a really interesting conversation about a game. Well, there's a lot to say about that game. And then, like I said, this month we've got Star Wars Andor. So that's a ton of content for you. And that's just from this year. There's more than 20 other episodes from earlier years if you become a member. And I hope that you consider it because it helps us keep on making this show. So MaximumFun.org/join if you want to do that. But that's enough for me. Let's get on to it. This is our Beanscast from last May about the great Elden Ring.
I'm Maddie Myers.
I'm Jason Schreier.
And I'm Kirk Hamilton. And hello.
Hello.
Yay.
Hello, wonderful Maximum Fun subscribers, members, supporters of Triple Click. Welcome to the Elden Ring Beanscast. I'm very excited. Are the two of you excited?
You've collected all the pieces. You've united the runes.
I thought you were going to be like, Empyreans, Elden Lords, Tarnished, come you one and all.
Members of the House of Caria.
We're going to break out of the stone and they're going to have to fight us in multiple phases in order to listen to this episode. Nah, we wouldn't do that to you.
Are the two of you excited? You must be excited.
Actually.
I'm so excited to talk more about this game.
I was very excited to beat it, and then I was immediately sad, and then I booted up Dark Souls 1 5 minutes after that.
Is it weird going to, how do you go from Elden Ring to Dark Souls? I feel like Elden Ring controls so well that it's kind of hard to go back to other From games.
It is weird, but I don't need to get into Dark Souls 1. That's not why we're here. I'm not here to talk about Dark Souls 1.
I was curious for a quick answer.
It felt weird. The buttons are slightly different. I kept pressing the wrong buttons, but I'll deal with that on my own time.
I think that's it's kind of an interesting first question is how do you deal with the hole that this game leaves
with
when you
other
finish
games?
it?
Yeah.
I beat this game in 160 hours is what Steam said, which is probably inflated, so it's probably more like 140. A mere 140 hours.
Mine only
That's about
says
how long it took
108 for what it's worth.
Right. Merely the longest I've ever played a game to completion. That's the longest I've ever played something that not Destiny or a
single player game. Yeah.
And it did leave a hole when I finished it. I wound up playing New Game Plus. I talked about that on the main show. But and still have been playing it. Just I'll pick it up sometimes and go and play a little bit more. Because I'm not quite ready to go back to Dark Souls, but I think you kind of you get in that from mindset. You just want to kind of keep going. And New Game Plus in this game is actually very fun.
Yeah, I just wasn't quite ready to go to New Game Plus yet because I was like, well, I want to make sure I back up my old save. What if I want it for some reason? I want to go help somebody out with a boss, and I got all my sights of grace lit up, and you lose all your sights of grace.
That's the thing. And what if there's DLC? What if there's DLC that requires you to go to like a late game site of grace? Yeah. But Kirk backed up his save, so he's in good shape.
I backed up my save, and actually, I'll say that to anyone considering it, New Game Plus is interesting. It's pretty easy. Your character will most likely be super mighty by the time you're in New Game Plus, and I just shred everything. I mean, it's not like I'm suddenly a scrub. I'm really doing huge amounts of damage to enemies. So I think I could pretty safely play the DLC even in New Game Plus. But yeah, I backed up my save, so less of a big deal. Anyway, let's talk about this game. We've all finished it now. We've beaten all the bosses and done all the stuff, and I guess maybe reunited the Elden Ring, or maybe not. I guess I'm curious about the endings you got. Let's talk about that. What do you think of this game overall? Jason, you and I are a little more removed from it since Maddie, you beat it more recently, but Jason, maybe you go first. What do you think of this game now that you're a little removed from it, and also which ending did you choose for your first ending?
Yeah, well, so I of course stuck by my betrothed Ronnie because I couldn't betray her. And I don't know if that's the right ending. I don't know if that's the good ending. But
is there a right ending?
I mean, you ushered in an era of endless night.
Well, endless night. I guess that's better
great?
Than the alternative.
I don't think the Erd Tree is doing such a great job, so I'm fine with endless night.
I don't think there's a good ending in this game.
No.
Yeah, the Erd Tree kind of sucks. I love it when the Erd Tree's like translator is like, oh, no, you're gonna burn the Erd Tree. Okay, you can burn the Erd Tree. Here's how you do it.
Hilarious.
I mean, I can't stop.
She thinks about it. She's like, you know what? Honestly, that's kind of fair. Like, it feels like such a real reaction though in that moment where she's like, that's so fucked up, and then she's like, actually, so's everything, I guess. So like, nothing really matters. I was like, yeah, that's vibes. That's
yeah.
And I still got to sell you the armor pieces, so like, I'll still be here. I mean, we're cool. We're fine.
Exactly. You still need to be able to do
you
this.
And the greater will maybe have some issues.
She's like, you know what, that's fucked up, but I'm also standing next to two gross fingers, so this is all kind of fucked.
So who's to say what's fucked up or not? I mean, this is just where we live.
Overall impressions, I don't know. How do you give overall impressions of like the sky or life? It's just like,
oh my God.
like Elden Ring. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It's one of the best games ever created. It's just like this masterpiece, this singular achievement that just like has really accomplished something that I think we'll be talking about for ages, and haven't felt like that since in a game since really Breath of the Wild. I mean, there have been some other like indie games that have really just like been up there for me in terms of like, holy shit, this is an incredible experience. It's like, this is super innovative and interesting and wild. Outer Wilds, for example. But like in terms of a complete, just absorbing, all encompassing world to explore, there's really been nothing else like it. And it deserves every single accolade and piece of praise it's gotten is my impression.
Well, Maddie, you beat it more recently. How are you feeling about it now that you're done?
I also feel that it is akin to life in the sky. I have nothing but good things to say. I like it better than Breath of the Wild. I like it better than Skyrim. I like it better than Outer Wilds even, I think. I don't know. I feel like this is the game that
you like it better than Metroid Prime?
Don't even.
Let's not get carried away.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. We don't even need to compare those things. But it's a good video game. It's a great video game. I can't believe how good it is. I was kind of worried when it first came out about how many people I knew who had never played a From Software game and were like, maybe this is the one for me. And I wrote that article when it first started out where I kind of was trying to encourage people, be like, there are parts of it that's going to be really hard, but you got this, because I knew a lot of people were going to be trying it. And having beaten it and having seen how adaptable it is and how much it really lets you do whatever you want if you're willing to engage with it on those terms and not just try to rush through it in a linear fashion, and instead really explore and really immerse yourself in every little piece of it. It's it's not necessarily hard. It's more just something that takes over every piece of you. And you just have to be willing to let it do that. And then it's easy and it's great. You just have to accept the parasite of Elden Ring into your heart. And then you'll love it the way that we do. But yeah, it's incredible. It's been a very, very long time since I played a game that I felt this way about. Probably not since something like Metroid, honestly, to compare it to my beloved. It really did take over my life in a good way.
Yeah, it's been rare for me to play a game that is as engrossing as this one, where I really want to keep playing it, and also that is just so big. I mean, the two that come to mind, I suppose, are Skyrim comes to mind, of course. That was a little while ago. And then Breath of the Wild, and also Divinity Original Sin 2, which is such a long game now that I'm playing that
I thought
again.
you were going to say The Witcher 3, because that game was like that for you, Kirk.
That is true, though. I wouldn't say that it's quite engrossing on the level of some of those other games. Like, mechanically, it's narratively really engrossing, but it's kind of like, you get your sword, you fight the things. In The Witcher, it's a little bit less engrossing. And it is very, very long, though, and it does kind of have a similar scope. And that makes it kind of hard in some ways for me to fully, evaluate this game, even several months after I finished it, just because it's so big. And its impact was just, the cutscene after you beat Radon and the star comes down from the sky and blows a hole in the earth. It's like, that's Elden Ring. There must be a meme a dank meme with the Elden Ring box on that thing as it flies down to earth. And then the game industry is Limgrave or whatever, because it feels like that. And it's really like, it's going to take a long time to really get a sense of the impact of this game, because it's just not only so groundbreaking and cool in so many ways, but it was so successful that it's going to have a real impact on other games that we're going to play. And I'm all for it, because for all the reasons we've talked about at length on our podcast, it's a really cool game, and I'd love to see more games embracing mystery and ambiguity, more games allowing players to overcome challenges in all these creative ways, meeting the player on their own terms, and being fair but also weird in this way that this game is, and all these things that it does. I think, so I've been playing New Game Plus, and New Game Plus is a really great way to focus on the narrative of this game and the world and the characters, the lore, how it all fits together. I've never done that for a FromSoft game before. Bloodborne was the closest that I've done. I really did love the story and world for that game, and it will always have a special place for me. And that was the first time where I was like, I'm going to kind of learn about this crazy religion that these people follow, and these outer beings that have come, and what the hierarchy is like, and what's actually happening during the course of this game. But this game it's just so much bigger. There's so much more going on. And I would say the backstory is so rich. I do think that that's sort of the George R.R. Martin influence, is that there is really a lot of really cool stuff going on, that it's been cool to watch videos. I watched Vati Video's been putting out a bunch of great videos. So I know there's kind of a whole cottage industry of creators who make these lore videos explaining this game. But also just figuring it out for myself, playing through New Game Plus. I'm not so worried about getting killed, or, I'm not as in the moment. So I'm a little more just paying attention to the dialogue and really listening to what NPCs say the first time and understanding what they mean, when they talk about this person or that person. And that has also been really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to have that experience.
Yeah, I wonder about New Game Plus. The lore part of it, that certainly seems intriguing to me. It was very difficult to understand the first time I played through anything that was going on.
Same.
It's still difficult to understand.
Watching videos certainly pieces it together for me. Part of me wonders if playing it on New Game Plus, at least now, with it so fresh in my mind, would not be nearly as satisfying as an experience, because part of what makes Elden Ring so special is not knowing what you were going to find in any given place, even both on a micro and a macro level, not knowing what the next region was going to be, not knowing what was in this cave.
I've thought about that. So what happens in New Game Plus is your map remains unfogged, but you don't have the states of grace, so you need to go find them. And I think that New Game Plus does reveal some of the game's, I wouldn't even want to say shortcomings, but a lot of the criticisms I've seen of the game that are perfectly valid tend to stem from people who've played through it a whole bunch of times. Because on repetition, it becomes clearer how much of the game is optional, how much of the game is kind of copy-pasted, just reused bosses and stuff. A lot of the same
bosses.
Yep. And that starts to feel like more of an issue to you if you're a person who is viewing the first playthrough of the game as just 30% of their overall experience of it.
Just the beginning. Yeah.
Where to me, it's still like 80, 90% of my experience with it. So it does kind of reveal that. But I think for me, at least, New Game Plus has been a great thing to do while the game is still fresh, because I just get to go through it again really quickly and like blast through stuff and just see what's going on and get a better sense of it. And then in a year or two, when I've forgotten stuff and want to replay it, I'll just roll a fresh character, and then I'll have that feeling of powering up and exploring and just going places and seeing things all over again.
When I was playing it the first time, I definitely felt like I had to look things up in order to complete quests. And I wonder if I would feel that way on New Game Plus. Of course, I would remember how to complete certain quests. But there were some scenarios. I mean, this is a shortcoming, I suppose. And yet it's also something I find endearing about FromSoft games is how opaque they can be. Like knowing where certain NPCs were going to be next. If you read every single letter or whatever thing you tripped over, you might know, oh, Blythe is going to be here next, or like Millicent's going to be in this place because she implied that she'd be next to XYZ, and so you have to know where she is. But I don't know. I can't retain any of that, so I would always have to look it up, and then I would be like, wow, imagine if I had figured that out on my own. That would have been so incredible.
That's it. You got to play with a journal, Maddie. You got to
I
listen
know.
to.
But then it also meant that the times that I didn't look it up and I just so happened to see Millicent or like whomever's quest line I was following would feel so much cooler, because I'd be like, oh my God, it's Millicent. I think I've got something for her. I better run on over to her and see what's going on. How's the old Scarlet Rot treating you, Millicent? How you feeling these days? How's the needle treating you? And like, it would be rad to just so happen to run into somebody. And I wanted to experience the whole game that way. And I think if I did New Game Plus, I would be able to do that, because I would remember just enough that it would be as though I was kind of tripping over those things. But it is true that the game doesn't really hold your hand that much.
No, and it still doesn't for me on New Game Plus. I mean, I knew to look for Millicent, but I still look up where she is to make sure I don't miss her. Rogier, actually, Sorcerer Rogier, who you meet in Stormvale.
And he gives you a letter that gives you a clue about Blythe, I think. Or no, Dee?
He tells you where to... No, someone else tells you where to meet Blythe. But he
does the Black Knife quest.
He
sets up Ronnie, and... he's cool because he basically is the reason that you learn a major piece of the lore, which is that Ronnie orchestrated the murder of Godwin the Goldwyn. Godwin the Goldwyn. Godwin the...
It may as
Alec
well
Baldwin
be Goldwin the Goldwin.
It's really hard to say.
Godwin the Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin, you know, the son of the first Elden Lord, Godfrey. So you learn the whole story of him being killed, which is a major part of the lore of this game, and is an interesting little thing to know about Ronnie. Totally missed him the first time, would have missed him the second time, and it's actually just because he sits in a part of the round table hold. You know, he's kind of out on the balcony that overlooks where that guy invades you.
Yep.
I didn't see him. I didn't notice him there. So I just kind of looked up where is this guy? I know that I'm supposed to go talk to him, but I don't know where he is. So I'm still totally looking stuff up on New Game Plus. I don't think... I at least wouldn't be able to just roll through New Game Plus and see everything without looking things up. I'm just way less precious about looking things up on New Game Plus because I've already seen so much of the game and had that fresh experience so many times.
It was playing it before release was really interesting because there wasn't much you couldn't really look anything up. There was a brief reviewer's guide that they gave us, which was helpful, but not to only took you so far.
Right. It was a lot of just asking your friends, which was a fantastic way to play.
Yeah, which was a fun experience, a fun social experience. And Googling is essentially the kind of asking your friends. It's like asking the internet instead of asking your friends, asking your global network of friends, of acquaintances. But yeah,
we're asking the Triple Click Discord for help.
Well, even having a smaller community is such a cool part of this game, and that's something we discussed a lot when we were first talking about the game. Was that social aspect of just being able to that playground feeling, and how that would not exist if not for the mystery. If the game was giving you tutorials and walkthroughs and guides and question marks on the map showing you where everything was, you would not need to have a Discord channel or a group text with your friends to talk about this stuff. And I think having that is such a cool experience that I hope more games learn from that, take that lesson away from it.
Yeah, a really neat thing that I've found, and that I was especially finding when I was actively playing New Game Plus was that there was a shift in the way that our community, the Triple Click Discord, which is the primary community that I interact with around this game, there's a shift in the way that that community was talking about the game, because there are still people in the main channel talking about, well, I'm in the, Seal for a River, where do I go? Like specific gameplay related tips. But there were a lot more people just being like, okay, so wait a minute. What is the relationship between Mikola and Melania?
Yeah.
And like, what does that mean? And like, who is Melina? And like, and then just kind of theory crafting, people getting together to try to fill in these gaps, which is also what's going on YouTube. I mean, no one knows the answers to this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool, is that this game leaves so much to the imagination. I mean, Melina, you're the, your maiden. You're a maiden. Or she's not a maiden, right? She kind of says at the beginning, I'm not really a maiden.
But she's sort of willing to do you a solid.
But I'll like perform the role of one for you.
Yeah, I'll
like,
set myself on fire for you, as one does.
Right. Well, I'll set myself on fire to destroy the Erd
I mean,
tree.
I think she just does that for her own liking, honestly. That part seemed like that was her MO. But the maiden
she
thing,
wants
she's
to bring
just-
down the Erd tree.
Yeah.
She's not so into helping you.
She thinks you might be the tarnished who maybe could become an Elden Lord.
Yes.
And it turns
It's
out
true.
that all three of us could, luckily.
It's true.
It's true. We
were
all
Elden
did.
Lords. Yes.
Well, actually, I don't think any of us actually became
No,
Elden
I don't
Lord.
think so. Oh, I forgot to say, I also picked Ronnie's
yeah.
ending.
Yeah. I think that's a
But-
common one.
I think it's common. I did feel pretty attached to her after I'd completed her whole quest line, and it felt like the right thing to do somehow. It's probably the least bad ending. I had read enough to kind of know that the other endings were bittersweet. That one is too, but it's sort of like the ending where you're like, let's get away from all this, honey. Let's go live
Right,
in the
it's the-
stars. Let's abandon this hell world.
Which is really, I mean, a pretty valid thing when you look at
Yeah.
what Marika and the Golden Order did to this world. Yeah, and I mean,
I want to get the loathsome tongue eater ending.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, just the
is that the
outright
chaos
worst
ending?
ending.
Is that his? Because I know there's
No,
a
no,
there's
no,
a
no,
chaos
that's a
ending.
different one.
also, that's a cool ending. I'm going to get that on New Game Plus. That's
Yeah.
the Three Fingers
Chaos ending is if you side with the three fingers and you let him embrace you. Dung Eater ending is like the Dung Eater has this curse, and you can like disperse it among everybody who will ever live and curse everybody forever, and it's just the
Amazing.
most bleak shit.
How is
Yeah,
that
it's
not
good.
the chaos ending? I guess it's like the pandemic ending. That's tragic.
Well, the chaos ending is more, I think that's more about actual chaos and less about suffering. This is about you are just like everybody's going to suffer because of what you did.
So wait, Kirk, what did you pick as your ending? Did we all pick Ronnie?
I picked the Rani ending as well
Wow.
because she has the most involved quest. I think
Yes.
that it's almost setting you up to pick her ending because
I would
yeah.
agree.
her quest is so
Because you
involved.
spend so much time with her.
You spend so much time with her. Her character design is so great. And what's so interesting is, I mean, I didn't even really realize until near the end that she's a doll and that's not what Rani even looks like. This is just
Yeah.
a doll that her spirit is like inhabiting.
Yeah, because
she's not this cool
not
little
alive
weird.
anymore. I
Right,
guess.
you find her body. You
Yeah.
get her rune from her dead body. This is something I just saw in a Vati video that I didn't realize. You can see her red hair because she's Radahn's sister.
Yeah.
Like she looks like Radahn. She has that same red hair because
Mm-hmm.
she's one of Radagon's children, which is so wild that I like completely didn't notice that. And there's so much stuff like that. I mean, this is also in his recent video. Something that was so cool is she was like, she's Renala's daughter. Renala is like the queen of the full moon. And so she follows the full moon, which is one of the outer gods. And then there's a whole thing with Renala where there's a whole thing with Rani. This is just going to be a nightmare throughout this whole episode. I'm going to do
Here
my
we
best.
go.
I should talk slower. There's a whole thing with Rani where she was like given an aspect of the dark moon, which is a different moon than the full moon, or
Sure.
at least a different phase of the moon. And when you finally get up onto that plateau in Liurnia and you're like, there's the dragon up there, and it's kind of near the end of Rani's quest line. If you look up to the sky, you can see both moons, the dark moon and the full moon. So like her mom and her, and that's like the god that she's following is the dark moon, and that's what she brings about for the ending. This stuff is all actually in the game. Like it's really there. It's just, I never would have noticed it if someone hadn't pointed it out to me.
Yeah, it's so wild. I felt very excited when I was doing all of Millicent's quest, and I felt like I was actually following it as I did it. And then the reveal that she is related to Melania like really did hit me when she said that, because I was like, oh damn, like I've been hanging out with you so much and you're related to this horrible lady I can't beat and who's just been giving me hell for the past however many hours, and I keep going back in to check on her to see if I'm strong enough, and then I'd be like, well, I guess I'll go do some more Millicent's quest since I can't do anything against this freaking Melania. And then the fact that like both of them have the Scarlet Rot, they both end up with the sort of prosthetic arms, they both have this similar story, and then they both turn into beautiful flowers at the end. It's all very medieval virginhood.
This is like, is this new? I don't remember doing any of Millicent's quests.
Oh, it's in there, man.
Her quest may have been one of the ones that was bugged for some people.
This is one that was added later
bug?
with a patch.
Yeah.
Possible.
Well,
because I did not do it. Like I cured her, and that was the end.
That was as far as it went. Well,
that was true for me as well.
That's too bad then. Oh, so if you keep talking to her, you give her the needle, and if you keep talking to her, she'll be like, you know, my arm doesn't work. Can you get me a metal arm? And you find a metal arm, you give that to her. I can't remember how. Don't quiz me on this. It was hours ago. And of course, Melania has a metal arm as well, because she also had the Scarlet Rot. And then the sort of tragic turn, which I guess I'm going to spoil for you, is that Millicent, the way the needle works is that it basically, I mean, makes it so that the Scarlet Rot doesn't progress anymore, but it doesn't cure her.
Because it's unalloyed gold, which is the only thing that Scarlet Rot is vulnerable to, is unalloyed gold, which is the same as I think Melania's armor.
But again, it doesn't fix all of her problems. It just sort of stops it and sort of freezes her in time, so she like can't progress forward as a person. Sort of that's how I took it from her, as this sort of metaphysical existential crisis that she was having, where she was like, I want you to take out the needle again, or I'm going to take out the needle again, and I'm just going to die because I don't want this to be the rest of my existence, is like sort of being cursed with this needle. And obviously you kill Melania as well. I mean, she also doesn't hang around forever. And after you kill her, you can use the needle on Melania's flower to like get her loot, get her somber ancient dragon smithing stone. And I don't really know why that's the case, but
so cool.
Okay, so that also, all right, now I'm remembering that part is at least linked to the chaos ending, because you can, so the way it works is if you get embraced by the three fingers and you like go down the route of the chaos ending, you're stuck to it unless you do this, and then there's a way you can kind of reverse that choice.
Maybe
and
with
it's
the
by
needle?
going through this with
Remove
the needle
the
and the
frenzied
flower
flame.
and
because the needle sort of stops time in a way.
Well, so the unalloyed gold is not, it's like impervious to the will of the gods.
Yep.
And there's a goddess of rot, and there's also the frenzied flame, which are two outer gods. And those, so both of those gods have no influence over unalloyed gold. I think that's what I've read. I think that that's accurate. So that would make sense that you could use
it's
the needle
unalloyed. Doy. It's obvious, Kirk.
for both of those things. This stuff, so I think this stuff
love
is all
this stuff.
pretty
I
neat.
love
Like
it.
I will say, it's
And
neat.
like one of the other things in Millicent's quest, this is just the other bit of it because I'm spoiling all of it for you guys because this is a Beanscast. Before she dies, you have to fight off these summoned versions of her sisters. And you guys are going to see fan art of this now that I've told you about it, where there's all these other little redheads who are all also related to Melania and Millicent. And it's like, who are these random women? And you never find out who they are. It's just like they're her sisters who are like haunting her, and you have to help her fight them off so that she can like die peacefully. It's like you're sort of helping this person die, which is sadly what you do for a lot of the characters in Elden Ring.
That's really, I mean, that's like the FromSoft MO, but certainly this game is you're going to meet people and like them and then kill them.
Yeah.
Isn't the whole premise here that like everybody that the reason that you're in this game is because nobody can die because what's her name took the aspect of death from the Elden Ring in the first place.
Well, that's not why you're in the game, but that is something that set a lot of this in motion.
But that's what sets off the plot in motion. That's what I'm saying, Kirk. Yeah, that it sets off. It's like
you're in the game because I think, well, no one really knows, but I think a theory is that Marika wants someone to reforge the Elden Ring. The Tarnished were all banished from the lands between, and so now the Greater Will is like calling you back because one of you has to ascend to the throne, reunite the Elden Ring, and like reestablish the Golden Order. And then, of course, a million different people are like, you shouldn't do that. You should do this instead. The Golden Order sucks for this reason and that reason. And so then you wind up being what is it? It's a Tarnished of no renown is how your character is officially referred to.
Yeah.
You wind up being the one who does that.
If you choose to do that, which of course none of the three of us did choose to do
Right,
that.
of course.
But you
Just
could.
what a boring ending. You could. But yeah, Marika removing Destined Death, or the Rune of Death, was definitely a major inflection point. Because then that let Ronnie steal it, which then let her kill Godwin, which then set all this stuff in motion.
Right. So that's why it's very important that you help people die.
Yeah, and also
Yes.
there's all these undead walking everywhere. It just like in any other FromSoft game where it's like, well, why is there all these skeletons? I mean, I'm
There's
just
totally an
assuming it's
explanation, right?
Something
Those who
to
live
do
in
with
death.
this whole death situation here, and the idea of helping somebody find peace. I mean, it's tragic, but it is usually the quest line of a lot of these characters. And I've seen a lot of people be like, oh, it's kind of ironic. Like all the women of Elden Ring are better off if you never talk to them. And I mean, that's like a funny bit, but I don't know if I agree with that, because I'm like, I feel like Millicent, I mean, yeah, I guess she would have really been fucked either way. She would have been cursed with the Scarlet Rot if I didn't help her, but at least I helped her die in peace and not as painfully. And that feels like a better ending for her than she would have had otherwise. Fia's questline, I also did. Don't think I could explain or summarize what happened in that questline, but I did do every piece of it.
She was trying to reunite a death rune, and then she wound up killing Dee, because Dee has a whole thing where he's trying to kill people who haven't died.
But then she still died. Like, I fought all of her champions, and I was like, we're cool now. And then she just keeled over and died. And I was like, oh, well, huh.
Yeah, I'm a little less sure about Thea. I mean, everybody in this world is trapped in this stagnant existence.
Yeah.
And you finally shaking it up, I would imagine, can only be a relief to just about everyone there.
Yeah, it takes a video game protagonist to really shake things up in these worlds,
Well, and
you know?
and it fits with it being a game that, like, what you're going to go do is fight and kill everybody, because this is a game about fighting and killing people. Like, that's fundamentally basically the only thing you do.
Yeah.
And so, of course, it tracks that they built a world where that's the best thing you can do for every single character.
Well, there's also the fishing minigame. That's how I spend
We can't forget that. My favorite, so I think the coolest bit of lore in this game is Radahn, because he's also one of the coolest characters, coolest boss
Because
fight.
he has a tiny horse.
He has a tiny horse.
It is related to the tiny horse. Well, it's actually a regular-sized horse. I mean, an old horse,
Okay,
but a regular-sized
great
horse.
point.
He's just a very big boy.
Big Radahn, regular-sized horse.
Right.
Big boy on a regular
It's
horse.
important that we correct people on this. This is going to become the Frankenstein's monster of our show, is that we're like, actually, Radahn's horse is regular size. It's Radahn who's big.
Radahn
Okay.
is a big boy.
Right. Radahn went to that farm, and I think you should leave, where the horses all. You know what I'm talking about.
God, yeah.
Yeah, so he, I really like that the explanation for Caelid winds up totally making sense. And this is something that on New Game Plus is a lot clearer, because when I first got to Caelid, I was like, fuck this place, and left, because that's how everybody reacts to Caelid.
Yep.
And they explain it really early on. It's like, well, the Scarlet Rot has blasted that land. And yeah. But when you know, and it's even in one of those promotional cutscenes, is the fight between Melania and Radahn, where she like summons the huge flower, the rot flower that blasts out the rot and like destroys the land. Like, you see that happen in a cutscene, but I didn't really remember that and saw it later.
Or maybe didn't have the context for it to
how
even
would
know
you
what you
know
were looking
that
at.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like-
that stuff goes in one ear and out the other when you don't know what it means.
Right.
And then you rewatch it and you're like, oh shit, I know what all this means now.
Yeah.
And this was that experience. So that was cool. He is just a fantastic boss fight. I mean, that fight is amazing.
Great battle.
The name Starscourge Radahn is an amazing name. One of the
Amazing.
best names for a From character ever.
So metal.
What's so cool is that he learned gravity magic, right? Which is a form of magic that you can learn. It's the purple one. It does physical damage, very useful for spellcasters, I gather, though I've never played a spellcaster.
No idea.
And he learned it so that he could ride his horse, which is the funniest, best shit. It's so FromSoft that there's this detail that they wrote in where you see the guy. I mean, my experience of fighting Radahn was I had a real hard time with the fight. It was before they nerfed him and then they buffed him, but it was like right at the beginning when he was really hard. Mm-hmm. And you're doing this fight and you go out and it's this whole epic showdown and you're summoning the guys and you're running toward him. And it's this really dramatic, incredible fight. And then I'm fighting him and I'm just getting worked. And I'm like, God, this guy's so big. His reach is so far. I can't get away from him. And then like the third or fourth time, I'm like, what's the deal with his horse? And then I couldn't, I didn't see it until then. It was, I was just playing the game, not thinking about it. And then I realized this guy's horse is on a normal horse and he actually looks hilarious riding
Yeah, he
around.
really does.
And then it turns out there's a whole lore explanation where he learned gravity magic so he could float and ride the horse without killing it because he's so big. And then he also is using the gravity magic to control the stars. He's stopped the stars in the sky, and so the stars don't move. And as a result, his sister, Ronnie, her destiny can't be fulfilled because her destiny is tied in with the movement of the stars in the cosmos. That's just a cool idea.
So that's why you can't access the city of Nokron until
Exactly. Because her whole thing, her bringing about the Age of Night, can't happen until Radahn is dead, because Radahn is keeping destiny from happening by freezing the stars in the sky, which is some big, cool shit. And anyway, so then you kill him, and then of course the stars begin moving again, and you see them moving. There's that whole cutscene where the huge star falls to Earth, and then that sets Ronnie's next phase in motion. That's some awesome stuff.
So there's this great piece of key art from the game that is Melania facing off with Radahn.
Yeah.
And the meme surrounding it is that everybody before the game was out was like, oh, this badass like redhead chick fighting against this evil nasty warrior. Like, but then you play the game and it's like, oh, actually, like the Chad Radahn who just wants to save his horse versus like this this woman who casts a plague on everything because she's
Melania
mad. Yeah, the Virgin Melania who gets mad and casts a plague on everybody.
Yeah.
Right. It's the hardest boss ever.
Aw, I feel sorry for Melania too. I mean, it's a FromSoft game, so you end up feeling sorry for every single boss, and you learn too much about them, and you're like, oh, they're all cursed and tragic. Even the Dung Eater, I felt sorry for that guy. I didn't complete his whole quest, but I was like, dang, the Dung Eater's really having a tough time. Like, he's out here, he's just being a Dung Eater, you know?
Smashing his head against the wall.
Yeah, when you find him and he's just smashing his head against the wall all alone, and I was like, that's a good thing I came along. I mean, he's not a pleasant person to talk to. I will say that. Don't care for the guy at all. Didn't want to hang out with him. But hey.
No, his storyline was a little hard to like finish.
Yeah,
there was a phase of it.
There's a phase of it where you have to find like every single piece of whatever thing he eats and give it to him. And I was like,
that's only if you want his terrible ending. So you don't want to do that.
I didn't
Well,
do
you
that.
can get his armor and not do his ending, but I did go find the...
And you can get him as like a summon. You can get him, but of course I was just using Mimic all the time. And I was like, I don't need to summon the Dung Eater. No offense to that guy. Feel for him though.
No, it was the phase where he kills the actual best character in the game. What's his name? The guy who makes the
lobster
shrimp
salesman.
The prawn guy. The shrimp
the
guy.
best dude, the blackguard. I'm forgetting his actual name.
Yeah.
Bing. His name is Blackguard Big Boggart. Again, that's Blackguard Big Boggart. Bing. But he's the best, and then he, of course, has a history with the Dung Eater, and so then he moves from Liurnia to a lake that's right next to the capital, to Leyendell.
Yeah.
And then you have to go find him, and he's freaked out because he's like, oh man, the Dung Eater's coming, and then the Dung Eater summons in, or you come back and find him and he's dead. The Dung Eater summons in, and then you have to fight him.
You have to fight
and
the
it just
Dung
took a
Eater.
while to trigger that, and it was actually the update where they added NPC markers on the map was the only reason that I knew he was there and could go find him. So I was grateful for that update.
Oh yeah. It was pretty wild that I was playing the game without those NPC markers, like just creating markers for every single merchant.
Yeah.
That was the main thing that I remember
I was
doing.
that too.
And just being like, wow, I don't know where they are.
I just had a notepad file and it was just writing everything down in my notepad file, which was helpful. And I would still do that even with the markers, although the markers are pretty helpful.
Yeah, they're fine. I like them.
No, they're good. So I think that I want to kind of expand upon something I said earlier, which is that I think that one of the appeals of this game is just really having no idea what's going to happen next or what you're going to find next. And I think that's something that's so rare in a game, and so many games just telegraph everything for you, whether it's just like really meticulously like showing you every single corner of a map before you can even get a chance to go there, or like showing you that like, oh, this next area is going to be for level 6, so don't go there because you're just level 4, the Far Cry effect or whatever it is. And in this game, like, so many of my most memorable moments, as I'm sure everybody's were just like fucking around and finding yourself someplace and just being like, wow, this is amazing. I have no idea where I am. This is so cool. So this is my story of the most memorable experience that I had in Elden Ring. Was I was doing co-op with our buddy Mike Rougeau in the academy, and we wound up going to the basement, and I wound up getting eaten by an abductor and somehow got teleported to the Volcano Manor. I had no idea what the Volcano Manor was. Just wind up in the middle of nowhere, looking at my map, freaking the hell out. I'm just like, where am I, dude?
In a cave full of lava.
In a cave full of lava and like nasty lava worms that wanted to destroy me. And
Yeah, Volcano Manor is extremely messed up the first time you go, pretty much no matter how you get there.
Especially if that's how you go.
Especially if that's how you go. I was
Yeah.
not prepared, and it was the coolest thing. And I think that like that's the type of thing that like I'm always searching for in a video game, is that experience of like not knowing what's coming next and just being completely surprised and delighted. And one of the things that I really noticed with Elden Ring when we were talking about it, when the discourse surrounding it when it first came out, in the days before it came out and then the days afterwards, is that everyone was so careful to not even mention location names or not even mention like what comes after the capital or like how big the game is. Like I remember people were just very secretive about like, oh, there's an entire area after the capital, because you would assume that the capital would be the end of things, but no, Mountaintop of the Giants, etc., etc. And that I thought was just so cool, and it was awesome to be part of that conversation as it was happening.
Yeah, those surprises also, of course, I'm sure one that got a lot of people is the chest next to where the dragon is in the lake.
The Caelid chest, yeah.
Yeah, that takes you to
sucks
Caelid.
you over to Caelid and puts you in that horrible like place full of giant bugs that kill you. And I was in Discord with another one of our friends who had that happen to him, like while I was listening, and then he got owned and lost a whole bunch of runes. It was very funny. So that experience is really cool. And then replaying the game certainly doesn't give that experience, but it does give me an appreciation for all of these little things that I missed. One fun thing about that abductor, Jason, is if you meet Patches in Liurnia, Patches, of course, the little rascal from all of these games, who is always a trickster and is always lying and pulling, shenanigans on you. And you run into him in Liurnia if you don't kill him in Limgrave. And he's still selling the same stuff, and he gives you a tip, and he's like, hey, the Academy of Rai Lucaria is over there, and if you go into the basement, there's this old abductor from the war, and it'll teleport you to, I think he's like, it'll teleport you to the capital. It'll take you right where you're trying to go. So like, go check it out. And of course he's lying.
Incredible.
And so the game does sort of push you in that way, because I actually didn't know about it. I just ran away from that abductor and it didn't catch me. But the game kind of in this one way pushes you that way, where whenever Patches tells you something, you're like, you're probably lying. But then it kind of signals that you should go down there and see, because something will happen.
It's like, well, he's lying. Something horrible will happen, but it might be
cool.
kind of funny and it's worth doing. I had an experience like that with discovering Jarburg, which is amazing and gorgeous.
Yes.
And adorable.
Yeah, I never
Jarburg is
found it.
incredible.
I never found that.
You still got to go
sadly.
back and find it. I just
It's worth
tripped into it and was just utterly charmed by it, because of course the little pop boys, I mean, they were a meme for a reason before the game came out, because they're so freaking adorable. And like Alexander's quest is great. It's
Sad
so
ending,
bizarre, just so bizarre that he's filling himself with dead bodies so that he can become stronger.
As opposed to all the other happy endings.
I
in this
know
game.
it's
particularly sad when it's a likable NPC that you
That's
have to
true.
slaughter.
It's true.
Yeah, they're all somewhat bittersweet, but Jarburg is just freaking adorable, and the fact that I found it by accident and that no one had told me about it because it was too early on, and then I could like go into work Slack and be like, does anyone know about Jarburg? And then like no one knew about Jarburg, and I got to be the person
It's
who's
easy
like,
to miss.
okay, I'm not going to tell you anything else other than that it's Jarburg, so it's pretty obvious what it is, but here's where you should go to find it. And just getting to trade that information along to people was rad. And a lot of my favorite memories of the game are like that. Like at one point my friend Nico was streaming the game on Twitch, and me and Gita were watching her play, and like somebody just told her like, oh, there's a cave over there where you can actually like find some really cool stuff. And like it was a place that all of us had been a billion times before. It's like the beach where you fight Radon, and like why would there be a cave on that beach? But there is if you go all the way to the end of it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Kirk
I would
found that
never
on
have
his
gone
own.
all the way to the end of that beach. It's huge, and there's like one site of grace there, and it's like literally why would you run all the way to the end of that beach? But like just the fact that somebody was like, oh hey Nico, like go check that out, I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to like load up my game after this and go check out that same cave, because that's rad. And I don't know, it's just a cool
I
feeling.
can answer that question of why would someone do that, because I did that, and it was very like, it was a perfect encapsulation of why these games are so good. And it's because I beat Radon. You defeat Radon, and it was this huge battlefield. You're just standing in this empty desert, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm supposed to fast travel back to the castle. And then I thought, there's probably something over there. Just because that's like, there's probably something over there is the motto of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Why would there be this huge area if there wasn't something? So I started heading to the north. I'm going to go all the way up the coast, all the way up to the end of the cliffs. And I'm going and going and going and going and going. And then eventually you don't see it. You can't see it.
No, not until
you're
you're
really
right there.
close.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess there really is something. Wait a minute. And then it was there. And it was that feeling that I think you have so often in this game of just trusting the game developers, trusting that they put something to reward you, even if it's just a little thing, or like, in this case, it was a catacomb that was too hard for me to go through and I kind of didn't even want to deal with. But just finding something and knowing it was there.
I feel like there's a relevant item there. Heck, if I can remember what it is, but there's like something you need for something else.
Well, it's a cool catacomb because it's unique.
It's a cool dungeon. All these spirits are like fighting each other. The war,
right? Because there's ghosts fighting one another that you can actually hang out and just absorb their runes as they kill one another.
Yes,
are really
always
patient,
a perk.
But eventually they notice you and then they come kill you. So you can't just leave your controller and go make lunch.
Yeah. Also, like, being somewhere where you're not supposed to be is most of the fun of Elden Ring, and I had that experience many, many times and already miss it a lot. Like, the first time I went to the Siofra River Well, I was, like, way under-leveled, but it meant that any grinding I could do was so awesome runes-wise, so I, like, packed on a bunch of levels just by being somewhere that I wasn't supposed to be, because those guys were so hard. And then it means that later on when I went back, I was like, oh, this is cake now. This is so easy. I can just slaughter these guys in 2 seconds. It just feels amazing at that point because I'm a terrible person and I just want to destroy the ancestral river and everyone who lives there and all the beautiful moose that live there. I want to kill both of those guys.
Those ancestral spirits are one of those sad from bosses where that mournful, beautiful music plays.
Had to get those runes, though.
So as more and more game developers just kind of like take away and get inspired by this game, try to take away things from this game, I hope they take away the right lessons, because like it's not this game is so, everything about this game is so synergistic and working so closely together that you can't really take one aspect of it without the other. Like the exploration and the brilliance of the mystery and the opacity of it all would not be nearly as cool if not for the amazing like moment to moment combat and how good it feels and how fun it is to just like interact with the world on a regular basis. And similarly, the difficulty of it all would not be nearly as interesting or as engaging if not for the exploration and the way that the game pushes you to want to keep finding out what's next, what's behind this difficult boss. Like the difficulty alone is not what's appealing about it at all either. It's really the entire package. And I think that like if you're going to take aspects of this and apply them to the next, I don't know, Uncharted or whatever, the next big open world, the next Assassin's Creed, you really need to be careful, because just kind of isolating one variable is not going to get you the results you want.
Yeah, I think that it's common, especially in some development studios, to just borrow aesthetics without really understanding how they work. I mean, there are so many Metroidvania, 2D Metroidvania style games that look like Hollow Knight, that have a similar art aesthetic to Hollow Knight, but that don't quite capture what makes Hollow Knight great, because that's a lot harder to do with a game, is to like actually make it all work and fit together and lock in place the way that it does in this game.
Yeah.
But I think that the whole trusting the player, leaving things to the imagination mystery thing, this game is going to be a catalyst for that, because it's such a massive example of that, and it's also so successful.
I hope so.
But that's been catching on for a long time, I think. Like, I think there's been more and more of that in games just over the past decade. I mean, really since Dark Souls became such a hit.
I'm also just really hopeful that the environmental storytelling aspect is what catches on, because I feel like that is a piece of it that could just be extrapolated out without necessarily having the really satisfying combat across every single class and everything feels balanced and no matter what you pick, you can always move forward. Like, that's really hard to design. But just having a game where, oh, it looks like there should be something over there, and then there is. Or like Patches having the joke that he tells you, and that helps push you in the right direction, rather than the game having a big arrow pointing that way and being like, come check out this basement. You'll never believe what's behind this door. Like, just having the environment telling you where to go and having the design of a landscape indicate to you oh, look at those weird rocks. Those look different from the other rocks. Is there anything over there? And then there is, and there's like a steps going down, and oh my God, you're in Nokron, and it's fucking crazy. I don't know. That part of Elden Ring is what's so freaking cool. And I know people talk all the time about like, oh, the quests are so opaque, and I even said that earlier on this call, but that's not what's so great about it, really. It's the fact that it feels opaque, but it's actually telling you exactly what to do. Those moments are incredible. Very Half-Life 2-esque.
Yeah, and on top of that, the map also, I think you look at that map and a lot of kerfuffle has been made about the lack of map markers and the way that that's all presented. But you look at the map, and so I think that endemic experience of looking at the topography of the map and seeing, oh, there's a castle here, oh, there's a tower here, like you can actually figure out exactly what you're looking for, and that is what part of what makes the exploration so fun, is that like you know that there's a tower here and you kind of get this addicted to this rush of like figuring out what it is. And it's such a like small but massive difference to have a little drawn tower or a little drawn castle as opposed to a question mark, and like have it be endemic as opposed to the game telling you there's something here. Just piques your curiosity so much more, because you don't know if there's actually going to be something all that interesting there, and a question mark that the game is telling you kind of reveals that there is. But also just like the fact that it feels like, so it's just so much more interesting to be able to look at this map and kind of decipher it for yourself instead of being held, like your hand being held the entire time. God, yeah.
Or it's like you have to do this tower first, and they're all labeled, and you know the labels, and 6 characters are going to tell you it's this tower first, and
there are 4 outposts to find here, and you have to be level 10.
It's way cooler to just so happen. Like I think both Kirk and I happened to find each piece of the elevator medallion the first time around, and it's like just so happening to already have the right medallions, and then you get to the place where you need to use them is rad as hell, because then you're like, oh, sick, I didn't know what these were for, but good thing I found these. Now I'm gonna take this elevator. It's the best.
Yeah, that process of getting the first half of the medallion from what's her name, the snake, Raya maybe is her name, and then looking at that item description and it says the other half is in this fort and the fort is over in Caelid, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've been to that fort, and I go there and kind of sneak past the things to get the other half of it, and then I can go up early. Is very cool. And I agree, Jason, I think the map in this game is one of the game's most remarkable triumphs, really.
Yep,
because
definitely.
So much of the game is it's a triumph. It's a really great game, but that I've just never quite, it feels fresh to me. It feels like a new thing. It's a great example of removing user interface from the experience and just putting the thing in front of people, and then that being a really cool way to play the game. And it doesn't feel tedious. It doesn't feel like you have to, I'm trying to think of, there was the whole period of time in the kind of early 2010s where you didn't just have a menu. You had a room that you had to walk around. And then you had to go up to the table to save. And then you had to go to the crafting table to craft. And it's like, oh, we're putting you in the world. So we're making it so you're kind of more immersed in the world. And sometimes that can just kind of feel annoying, where you're kind of thinking, I'd rather just have a menu where I can do this. I don't really get the point of this. It doesn't feel like that, because it's just something in all of those things synergizing in the viewpoints, like the vistas that you have when you're looking out over the horizon and you can see all these places, mixing with your knowledge of the geography of the world, mixing with this thing you're looking at, and then you're realizing slowly, like the dawning realization of how useful the map is. Oh, holy shit. That's actually what a mine looks like. It's always a little red thing. So, there's one right there. Well, I need more crafting stones, so I should just go right there first, and then I'll get some stones. And then you kind of have that realization, and soon, looking for Jarberg was that way for me, where I knew that Jarberg existed because I'd seen someone mention it, but I didn't know what it was. And I just kind of scoured the map until I found something that looked like it could be a town somewhere that I hadn't been.
With a bunch of little jars.
Yeah, they were all on the map. No, they aren't. They aren't.
Right.
It's also just, that's part of the fun of it, is that sometimes I would just go to places on the map even if they didn't look interesting, but I'd have no sight of grace there, or like wasn't sure what was there, and I'm like, let me just go check out whatever's over there. And like that in and of itself, an amazing way to while away many hours. And again, I just don't feel like I've had that experience with that many games. Also, Kirk, it's funny for you to say that games used to have a room that you walk around, because that is exactly what you do in Elden Ring, which is maybe the point that you were making. Like when you're in the round table hold and you're like going to like, okay, I got to level up my summons.
True,
okay,
yeah.
I got to level up my stuff with the blacksmith.
Right,
Like, you
it doesn't
do
that. It doesn't feel
But
artificial.
part
yeah.
of why I think it doesn't feel artificial is that both of those people, I mean, you talk to them the most, and Fia, they all have their own quest lines that I actually really liked in each case. And the part where the blacksmith doesn't remember you anymore at the end of the game because like the round table hold is losing its essence was genuinely heartbreaking to me, because I was like, Hugh, we've been talking this whole time, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the tarnish. You made me the weapon, man. And like, he doesn't know who you are anymore. I don't know. He's more than a save point, is what I'm saying. It feels like some thought was put into each of those pieces that make it feel much more like a real world as opposed to just a chore where you're like, oh, I got to walk all the way over to this guy.
Maddie, you should write that song. He's more than a save point.
Yeah, I gotta pivot into
good.
Elden Ring songs. Enough about Metroid. Been there, done that. You know what I mean?
Elden Ring concept album.
So I want to talk about Skyrim and how I think that for a lot of people, certainly for me, Elden Ring is one of the very few games, maybe even the only game, one of the few games that has really recreated that feeling of exploration that Skyrim did. And Skyrim, when it came out, was really this revolutionary experience. And I think that one of the reasons that Skyrim felt so revolutionary back then is because it really felt like there was the potential that you could find anything in any given place. Like you get somewhere, oftentimes you're going to find some shitty Draugr catacomb, but occasionally you'll find some god who takes you on this like drunken kind of crazy side quest, or you'll find some really cool artifact that like takes you somewhere else, or takes you on a quest you didn't even know existed, or whatever it is. Or you'll find some like fascinating piece of environmental storytelling, like a dead family, and or I guess like Fallout 3 cannibals is the one I think about all the time. But that sort of thing, I think Elden Ring really takes that to another level, because it has so many systems and so many different kind of optional activities and side quests and secrets that there really can be anything. And oftentimes, more often than not, you'll get to the end of the dungeon and you'll find something that actually is interesting. And sometimes it'll be like a spell you can't use or a piece of gear that isn't all that useful for your build. But other times it will be something that is like legitimately cool and out there and interesting.
You know, that comparison is interesting. I don't know if that I totally agree that the systems are more complex in Elden Ring, because I see Elden Ring as a more limited experience in terms of what you're capable of doing than Skyrim specifically, or Breath of the Wild, which is a little closer to Skyrim, which I've been playing a little bit of recently too. Because in Skyrim, there's so much more simulation going on. There's a whole economy. There's a lot more peaceful stuff you can do with NPCs. There's a lot more social role playing, like social systems related to persuasion and that kind of thing.
Well, I'm talking about the RPG, the gameplay systems. Like there are a bazillion different resistances you can have. There are a bazillion different things, weapons types that you can use, and medallions you can have. And I'm not talking about simulation type systems.
But when you're talking about like the feeling of possibility that Skyrim gives versus the feeling of possibility that Elden Ring gives, just for me, Elden Ring does have an incredible feeling of possibility, but it for me is within a more limited sphere. That's not a bad thing. It just means that the game feels a little more like I'm going to find something, it's going to be cool, it's going to tell me something about the world, and I'm probably going to have a cool fight, or I'm going to die in an interesting way. Where I do think that a game like Skyrim offers a wider horizon of possibilities, because it could be you find a town and then you talk to all the different characters and you wind up playing them against one another, and you have a whole complicated thing, and then you go and like hunt some fish for them, but then the fish is poisoned and then you have to clean the fish in the fountain.
Sure.
It's like that kind of stuff is happening more in that kind of game. And I do really like that kind of stuff. I think that Elden Ring, it's a more of a FromSoft kind of experience where you're pretty much going to go kill something.
Right. There are no friendly towns.
Yeah.
And given that they're working within that restrained or that more restricted system, I would argue that they're able to do a lot more, to go a lot deeper with the systems that they've got, just like you're saying. I mean, and also there's so much more complexity to, combat into all these other aspects of that.
And builds that you can make.
Slight counterpoint there. I think because Elden Ring's combat and and the mechanical systems that I'm talking about are so much better than either Skyrim or Breath of the Wild or really any game of this nature. It makes the rewards more exciting, and it makes it all the more exciting when you find a cool new like Ash of War or like summon that you can play around with or weapon you can experiment with, as opposed to Skyrim, where if you find another amulet that gives you plus 10% to magic or whatever, it's hard to really give a shit. Or like Breath of the Wild, you find another sword that's going to break in 10 minutes. It doesn't really matter.
To be clear, I'm not saying that Skyrim is better or that Elden Ring is better. I think that what Elden Ring does is it really focuses in, and as a result, it's able to achieve sort of a different outcome, a different feeling.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think that is just as rewarding in some ways, and better and more rewarding in other ways.
Yeah, no, I agree in the sense that playing through an entire dungeon, even if the rewards were not something I was looking for, like if they were for a magic build, which I didn't have, the experience of having played through the dungeon would have been fun. Like solving that puzzle was its own reward. Of course, the runes were their own reward sometimes, but also just having that experience of playing the game was fun, which is also kind of a rare thing, that just spending a few hours on a dungeon that doesn't matter to the end of the game and isn't relevant to anything and gives you a reward that you don't care about. The fact that so often in Elden Ring, I was like, well, that was worth it because it was 3 hours of playing Elden Ring, a game that owns. Like, I don't have that experience scarcely ever where I'm just like, yeah, oh well. Like there was a point where I lost 11 hours of my save and I wasn't even that mad because it was 11 hours that I had spent just exploring and like running around doing stuff and having fun in the game. Like thank goodness I didn't fight a boss and then lose that. That would have sucked. But because it was just 11 hours exploring, I was just like, whatever, like that's 11 hours of Elden Ring. I'm gonna go play some more hours of Elden Ring now. Like that's just what it is. I'm just hanging out, and it's great.
Yeah, I think it's also a huge point in the game's favor that it's so easy to respec your character, because I at least found that even when I did find, spells or things that I couldn't use, it was always in the back of my head that like, well, maybe one day I'll respec and want to use this, which I did even find just respecing to be a Dex bleed character.
Yeah.
Like suddenly a whole bunch of stuff that was totally off the table for me as a strength character was really useful. And I had all these awesome katanas that I could use.
Same. I did the same thing, that I had like held on to a few Dex weapons that I was like, I might use this someday. Like I might end up using this. And then I did in the end, and it was so awesome that I could have.
Well, you can hold on. Fortunately, there's no inventory weight, which is a remarkable change for them. Very, very user-friendly.
Really, really nice.
So you don't have to get rid of anything. Also, something that's super smart about this game that I believe is not the case in any other Souls games is that every item is unique. You're never going to find a duplicate sword or duplicate shield or whatever else. Like it's all one of a kind.
Well,
everywhere.
you find duplicates of unique items, but you can just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely gotten more than one,
like short sword
off
or
of some
whatever,
guy or thing.
Right, but it's not. Yeah, your inventory isn't full of like 20 different bastard swords that you have to like reorganize and sell and discard.
I mean, after I played enough, it kind of was. I definitely had some like armor. I have a lot of duplicate armor from the various soldiers, so that does happen. But the drops are rare enough that it's not like what you're talking about, where you're like, oh my god. And because inventory weight can be a thing in other games, just the feeling of wanting to pick everything up and then not having room in, say, Suikoden 2, where I'm like, can I please just pick up everything from every treasure chest? Like, without having to leave it.
Yeah, the 3-page limit is so annoying. Yeah. Maddie, to your point about it being just fun and a moment-to-moment thing, I think Breath of the Wild really comes closest to that for me, although the combat is better in Elden Ring, and I hope that, I guess it's too late for Breath of the Wild 2, but I hope Breath of the Wild 2 feels a little bit better in terms of like the moment-to-moment combat. But yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying earlier, that I hope that like if people are taking away lessons from this, if game designers are taking things away from this, it's that it all has to work it has to work in synergy together, because the combat, the moment-to-moment just enjoyment of it all is just such a key part of what makes this game special, and not a lot of games have that.
Yeah, and I mean, to go back to our Skyrim Elden Ring comparison, a thing that a designer could take away from this as well is you can limit the scope of an RPG and you don't have to include every single thing under the sun. And in doing so, it's actually easier to achieve synergy that then lets you go in like hard and really get this great thing going. This like vortex of different systems bouncing against each other where the game just feels supercharged compared to something that's just kind of a little broader and a little more surface level.
Yeah, although I mean, I would say that's kind of been the FromSoft career move, is to just be like, let's go real hard on super precise feeling, adaptable combat and make it feel freaking amazing game to game and just really hone that. And Elden Ring is the pinnacle of that. And I don't even know where they go from here. I
honestly do wonder. I'll be curious to see.
Yeah,
I mean,
Elden Ring 2
and DLC.
What am I saying?
We're gonna get some
Elden
DLC.
Ring 2. It's easy. It's gonna be the best thing ever. This is it.
I mean, I sure hope there's DLC. The theory, if you look at the map,
there will absolutely be DLC.
If you look at the map, the theory I've seen is that the 6 towers, the 6 divine towers, all point to like one, or all kind of like are surrounding this big clouded area in the middle of the map. So theory could be that that's where the DLC will take place.
Yeah. And there are so many questions about the world and the characters that we just don't have any answers to and that haven't been provided.
Like, what's up with Mikola and Moog? Like, we know a little bit, but like, what really happened there? I mean, there's so many what really happened there's of Elden Ring that can still be fleshed out.
So many triple click episodes. What's the deal with Mikila? What's the deal with Moog?
We're going to find out what's the deal with Melina. I feel like that'll
I
be
hope so.
the big question.
Well, there needs to be an in-game. Elden Ring 2 needs to come with an in-game version of triple click where they explain, where the three of us explain.
No, that's exactly what we don't want. We don't want that.
You
Don't
listen to a
answer the
podcast while you
questions.
explore.
Please, no.
Well, we want it
perfect
if
as
it's
it
us. Just if they pay us to do it. Then
Okay, but if
then
it's
we're
us
down.
doing it, it's us like sort of talking over each other, being like, "So an unalloyed gold needle, is that anything?
exactly.
What is
Maddie,
that?"
you don't think that would be that would enhance the atmosphere of a press
I'm so
soft
excited
game?
for the listener mail we're going to get from people who are like, "Guys, it's obvious. This is how the needles work. It's explained in this lore description on this one piece of armor."
Right.
I honestly can't wait for those emails because I'm sure it's buried somewhere, and that's part of what's
Yeah.
fun about the game. It's just learning bizarre stuff and uncovering it all.
Man, it really is. There's so much more to uncover. We're going to be talking about this game forever, which is exciting. But this was a lot of fun. I was glad to finally go deep on the lore and the
wanna
game now that we've
play
all
more
finished
Elden
it.
Ring.
I'm glad you finally beat it, Maddie. Yeah. It's
I do
hard to go back to other games after
I
finishing
know.
Elden
It
Ring.
really is. It is. But we must soldier on.
But we must.
Somehow we have to
We
continue.
must somehow. We must play other video games.
We must
than
finish
this one.
Suikoden 2.
Yeah,
It's
that's
true, we must.
We do.
All right. Well, this was super fun. Thanks so much to all of you listening for being Maximum Fun members, for supporting our show. We really appreciate it. We hope you liked this episode. It was fun to make.
All you Elden lords and ladies out there.
Hell yeah. No longer maidenless.
All right. I'll see the two of you next time.
See you next time.
Bye. Man, what a great video game.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddie Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you're listening to this bonus episode, it means you're already a member, so thank you. We really appreciate your support. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@maximumfun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.